Welcome to the topic on grasses and grasslands. We'll try to discuss this topic in three parts. The grasses and grasslands part 1 will include understanding the definitions of biosphere, ecosystem, ecology, inclusive of integrative levels concept, naming of major biomes of the earth, technical definitions of a true grass and a grassland, the occurrence of grasslands, their distribution, their categorization on the basis of vegetation height, tropical and temperate grasslands, their nomenclature on regional basis, types of grasslands as biomes, the animals harbored by grasslands, and adaptations on their part. It is highly essential for a scholar of environmental sciences to study not only atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere, but also the important and distinctive component of or the sphere sheltering varied forms of life termed as the biosphere. It represents the highest level of organization in the hierarchy of integrative levels concept. Although less familiar, yet the biosphere is of fundamental importance, as without it the earth would be a sterile planet and human life would also not exist. The study of the interrelationships between organisms or groups of organisms and their habitat is known as ecology, while in an ecological system, biotic community and the physical habitat function together as an ecosystem. The biosphere, though representing only a thin layer of 1 divided by 550th of thickness, equal to 24 kilometers of the earth measured from the outer atmosphere to its center on this planet, is of tremendous significance. Almost every landscape shows the interaction of soil, vegetation, animal life, microbes, and man. A dynamic interaction which, for good or bad, is of great consequence. According to the Feebleman's generalization of the theory of integrative levels, Earth's biosphere is constituted of various ecosystems, which are generally categorized as aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. The terrestrial ecosystems are further classified as forest ecosystems, grassland ecosystems, desert ecosystems, etc., while aquatic ones are categorized as marine and freshwater. The freshwater ecosystems exist as lentic and lotic ones. From the trophic standpoint, all ecosystems, including grasslands, have two components which are usually partially separated in space and time. An autotrophic component that is self-nourishing, in which fixation of light energy, use of simple inorganic substances, and built-up of complex substances predominate, and a heterotrophic component in which utilization, rearrangement, and decomposition of complex materials predominates. The functional components of an ecosystem are conveniently analyzed in terms of the energy circuits, food chains, diversity patterns in time and space, nutrient biogeochemical cycling, development and evolution, and homeostasis. The ecosystem thus represents the basic functional unit in ecology, since it includes both organisms, biotic communities, and abiotic environment, each influencing the properties of the other and both necessary for the maintenance of life as we have it on earth. Now, in terrestrial environment, regional climates interact with regional animals and plants and the substratum. These interactions produce large, easily recognizable community units, which are called as biomes. The biome is the largest community unit which is convenient to recognize. The terrestrial environment of Earth is generally classified into 4 major biomes. Those biomes are the tundra biomes, the forest biomes, the grassland biomes, and the desert biomes. A real or true grass, what it is. In order to understand grasslands as biomes, on various continents or as grasslands, as ecosystems. Firstly, it's important to know what we mean by a grass. Many of us believe that all green plants which grow on ground and are not trees or shrubs make grass. But this is technically not true. Technically, grasses, also called as povoids or graminoids, are monocotyledonous, usually herbaceous plants with narrow leaves growing from the base. The true grasses belong to the family Poaceae, which is also called as Gramineae. The true grasses also include our cereals, our bamboo, sugarcane, and the grasses of our lawns and grasses of grasslands. Grasslands are areas or biomes or ecosystems where the vegetation is dominated by true grasses, and there may also be other herbaceous non-woody plants called forbs, and sometimes sedges belonging to family Cyperaceae and rushes belonging to Gentiaceae families can also be found among grasses. Grasslands occur naturally on all continents except Antarctica, in temperate latitudes such as northwestern Europe and the Great Plains and California in North America. Native grasslands are dominated by perennial bunch grass species, whereas in warmer climates, annual species form a greater component of the vegetation. Now, where do these grasslands occur? Grasslands occur where rainfall is too low to support the forest life forms, but is higher than that which results in desert forms. As a rule, grasslands occur where yearly rainfall averages 25 to 75 centimeters. In addition to rainfall, temperature also plays a major role in creating grassland biomes. Grasslands also occur in regions of forest climate where soil factors such as high water table or fire favor grass in competition with woody plants. The grasslands are regions of frequent and often severe drought. Now, the distribution of grasslands on the planet. The principal grassland biomes of the world are Great Plains of Canada and the United States. The grasslands are also distributed from southern Argentina to Brazil and from the southern Russia to Central Asia. Much of Australia, except the desert at the center, and South and Central Africa are also occupied by grasslands. In India, grasslands are found in the Nilgiri hills on the hilltops. Now, vegetation in grasslands. What's the height of vegetation? Grassland vegetation can vary in height from very short, as in chalk, where the vegetation may be less than 30 centimeters high, to quite tall, as in the case of North American tall grass prairies, South American grasslands, and African savanna. And there may also be mid grasses in the grasslands. Now, savannas, woody plants, shrubs, or trees may occur in some grasslands, forming savannas. Scrubby grassland or semi-wooded grassland, such as the African savannas or the Iberian dehesa, such grasslands are sometimes referred to as wood pasture or woodland. As flowering plants, grasses grow in great concentrations in climates where annual rainfall ranges between 20 and 35 inches. The root systems of perennial grasses and forbs form complex mats that hold the soil in place. Now, grasslands of the world. Grasslands are found on either side of two desert belts that circle the earth. About 1/4 of the earth's land is in the grasslands. There are two kinds of grasslands, mainly basically tropical grasslands, which include those closest to the equator where it is hot all the year. Temperate grasslands are farther from the equator, such as the US prairies, and have both hot summers and harsh winters. Temperate grasslands once covered much of the interior of North America, and they were common in Eurasia and South America as well. They were highly productive when they were first converted to agricultural uses because of the rich organic material in their soil. In addition to the prairies of US, Midwest, the world has other grasslands which go by different names. In South Argentina and Uruguay, grasslands are called pampas. In Eurasia, steppes. In Africa, savannas. In Venezuela, llanos, and in Brazil, they are called as campos. Types of grasslands as biomes. There are tropical and subtropical grasslands. These grasslands are classified with tropical and subtropical savannas and shrublands as the tropical and subtropical grasslands, savannas and shrublands biomes. Notable tropical and subtropical grasslands include the llanos, grasslands of northern South America. Now, temperate grasslands, mid-latitude grasslands, including the prairies and Pacific grasslands of North America, the pampas of Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay, calcareous downland, and the steppes of Europe. They are classified with temperate savannas and shrubland biomes. Temperate grasslands are the home to many large herbivores such as bison, gazelles, zebras, rhinoceroses, and wild horses. Carnivores like lions, wolves, and cheetahs and leopards are also found in temperate grasslands. Other animals of this region include deer, prairie dogs, mice, jackrabbits, skunks, coyotes, snakes, foxes, owls, badgers, blackbirds, both old and new world varieties, grasshoppers, meadowlarks, sparrows, quails, hawks, and hyenas. The third type of grasslands are called as flooded grasslands. Grasslands that are flooded seasonally or year-round, like the Everglades of Florida, the Pantanal of Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay, or the Esteros del Ibera in Argentina. They are classified with flooded savannas as the flooded grasslands and savannas biome and occur mostly in the tropics and subtropics. Water meadows are grasslands that are deliberately flooded for short periods. Then there are mountain grasslands, high altitude grasslands located on high mountain ranges around the world, like the Paramo of the Andes Mountains. They are part of the mountain grasslands and shrublands biomes and also constitute tundra. Then there are grasslands of the type called tundra. Similar to mountain grasslands, polar Arctic tundra can have grasses, but high soil moisture means that few tundras are grass dominated today. However, during the Pleistocene ice ages, a polar grassland known as steppe tundra occupied large areas of the northern hemisphere. These are in the tundra biome. The sixth type of grassland, desert and xeric grasslands, also called desert grasslands. This is composed of sparse grassland ecoregions located in the deserts and xeric shrublands biomes. Now, grassland animals. Grasslands have been the home of grazing and browsing animals for millions of years. Mammals, birds, reptiles, and insects are the dominant animals in grasslands. The important large grazing animals native to grasslands are wild asses, wild horses, saga, antelopes, zebras, large kangaroos, and bison. Burrowing forms include rodents, important ones being ground squirrels, prairie dogs, and gophers. The avian fauna is represented by prairie chicken, pigeons, meadowlarks, and hornlarks. Among reptiles, snakes and turtles are very common there. Spiders, grasshoppers, crickets, and leafhoppers are very common insects found in grasslands. Now, adaptations on the part of these organisms. We may comment that grasslands are the regions of greater stress. They are subject to greater variations or fluctuations of temperature, moisture, wind, and intensity of sunlight, and there are fewer places for animals to retreat. Many grassland animals have evolved the burrowing habit. In burrows, they withdraw from unfavorable conditions. Some forms, such as wild horses and antelopes, are swift runners. Most of the animals form aggregations as herds or as packs, and this habit provides some measure of protection to the population. Protective coloration and mimicry and camouflage is well developed in many animals. Grassland birds are generally strong flyers and migrate during unfavorable conditions. During severe winters or summers, small mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and many invertebrates hibernate or estivate to tide over the unfavorable season. Now, natural and anthropogenic grasslands and their importance. Grasslands may occur naturally or as a result of human activity. Grasslands created and maintained by human activity are called anthropogenic grasslands. Both types of the grasslands are of vital importance for raising livestock for human consumption and for milk and other dairy products. Grassland vegetation remains dominant in a particular area, usually due to grazing, cutting, or natural or man-made fires, all discouraging colonization by and survival of tree and shrub seedlings. Some of the world's largest expanses of grassland are found in African savanna, and these are maintained by wild herbivores as well as by nomadic pastoralists and their cattle, sheep, or goats. From prehistoric times on this earth, grasses and grasslands have been and still are one of the most important natural resources for man. They form one of the most widespread vegetation types and are among the major ecosystems of the world. Of all the existing plants, grasses have all through played significant role in the life of mankind by providing food for him and fodder for his livestock. Those that provide food include high-value grasses, cereals such as wheat, maize, paddy, barley, oats, etc. The pasture land and meadow grasses provide forage and pasture for the livestock. The grasslands have also been essential in providing the actual habitat for the evolution of present-day grazing animals and their predators. The importance of grasses and grasslands from aesthetic, ornamental, and landscape point of view are no less recognized by the town planners and landscape architects nowadays. Dozens of plants, mostly grasses, inhabit the grassland biomes of the world. Grasses, like all other plant species, capture sunlight and use it to produce organic matter. Livestock and native grazers feed on grasses, acquiring the nutrients, both organic and inorganic, they need to survive. People in turn consume the meat of those animals or drink their milk. Thus, organic matter and its energy are part of the food chain. The factory of nature, grasses for food, feed and fiber, sunlight, green plants, soil, water and animals make up the food chain upon which man depends. Sunlight provides the energy which green plants use to synthesize soil nutrients and atmospheric elements into starches, sugars, proteins and fats. Soil nourishes plants, the plants nourish animals, and both plants and animals nourish humans. Grass is thus the direct or indirect source of a large part of our food. Cereals, corn and bread are made from grains which are members of grass family. Milk, cream and butter are produced by cows which eat grasses, legumes and grains. Beef and mutton are grass products because cattle and sheep are grown and fattened on grasslands. Hens change grains which are grass seeds into eggs. Sugar comes from sugar cane, which is a grass plant. Grasses are unique among plants in that they can withstand a considerable amount of grazing stress without suffering mortality. This is possible because they grow from the basal zone, the lowermost portion of the leaf. It is for this reason that our lawn grasses withstand periodic cutting, mowing, grazing by cattle. Most other plants grow from the top or apex, and periodic grazing would kill them, in spite of the Earth's contrasting environment. There are some grasses in every part of the world. They grow in almost all climates, elevations, and soils. They are thus the most widely distributed of all the flowering plants, found on the highest mountain tops, in marshes, on deserts, on broad prairies, and in woodlands, each species thriving best under certain conditions of soil, moisture, temperature, exposure, and altitude. Some species are narrowly restricted in their habitat, while others are quite versatile in their adaptation. Many species grow best in deep sand. They will tie down and stabilize sand dunes. But even though grasses are adapted to grazing stress, there are limits to how much grazing a grass species can withstand. As a general rule, it is safe to remove the top half of the exposed part of grass plant. The rest constitutes a metabolic reserve, so named because it provides the photosynthetic capability needed to provide food for the roots of the plant, which may extend 2 meters or more into the ground. Without this reserve, the plant is likely to die or be severely weakened. Now, degradation of grasslands and rangelands. Grasslands start to deteriorate when there is little or no recovery time between grazing and when plants are so heavily grazed that their metabolic reserve is removed. Otherwise, grasses are rather hardy plants that are adapted to the sometimes harsh conditions of the world's grassland biomes. For example, periodic drought and even occasional fire. Grasses can withstand drought because their roots extend deep into underground water supplies. They also store enormous amounts of nutrients that permit the plant to regrow after drought or periodic fires. They also start to degrade when they are infested by weeds, in which their pasture quality also deteriorates. Now, natural grassland as an ecosystem. Now, components. The biotic components of a grassland ecosystem, as in other ecosystems, too has autotrophic and heterotrophic compartments. The autotrophic compartment of all kinds of grasslands consists predominantly of grasses, provides grass-like plants, forbs, or scrub suitable for grazing and browsing. The heterotrophic component subsystem includes the apigeal and edaphic fauna. The apigeal fauna comprises the invertebrates and vertebrates. Among invertebrates, there are herbivores, carnivores, and detrivores. Vertebrates also include herbivores and predators. The edaphic group of organisms is formed by the hemiidaphone and euidaphone. The hemiidaphone organisms mainly include macro and micro invertebrates of the surface soil layers, cryptozoans, and the hypolithic communities. The trophic nature of these also varies from herbivory through carnivory to detrivory. The euedaphic organisms inhabit deeper soil layers. Parasitic organisms occur at all stages of this generalized categorization. However, this categorization can be regarded as an arbitrary one because there are many animal species whose trophic habits vary seasonally, while there are others whose activities and thus distribution as epigeal, hemiedaphic and euedaphic also vary both seasonally as well as phenologically oblique developmentally. In general, the entire community of grassland invertebrates can broadly be categorized into the following three outstanding groups. Phytophages or herbivores, saprophages or detrivores, and predators or carnivores. With the brief discussion on some aspects of grasslands, we conclude our part 1 of the topic on grasses and grasslands.